Yodustyajan Shiti Sutta Swajanartadaran
Yodustyajan Shiti Sutta Swajanartadaran
Pratyang Shriyang Suravarak Sadayavalokam
Pratyang Shriyang Suravarak Sadayavalokam
Naichan Ripastu Duchitang Mahatang Vadutwit
Naichan Ripastu Duchitang Mahatang Vadutwit
Sevanurakta Manasam Abhavo Vipalguhu
Sevanurakta Manasam Abhavo Vipalguhu.
Please check.
Yodustyajan Shiti Sutta Swajanartadaran
Yodustyajan Shiti Sutta Swajanartadaran
Pratyam Shriyam Suravarai Sadayavalokam
Pratyam Shriyam Suravarai Sadayavalokam
Naichan Ripastaruchitam Mahatam Madhuvrit
Naichan Ripastaruchitam Mahatam Madhudrit
Sevanurakta Manasam Abhavo Vipalgu
Sevanurakta Manasam Abhavo Vipalgu Yodustyajan Shiti Sutta Swajanartadaran
Pratyam Shriyam Suravarai Sadayavalokam
Pratyam Shriyam Suravarai Sadayavalokam
Naichan Vipastapuchitam Mahatam Madhudvit
Naichan Ripastaruchitam Mahatam Madhudvit
Sevanurakta Manasam Abhavo Vipalguhu
Sevanurakta Manasam Abhavo Vipalguhu
Yodustyajan Shiti Sutta Swajanartadaran
Yodustyajan Shiti Sutta Swajanartadaran
Pratyam Shriyam Suravarai Sadayavalokam
Pratyam Shriyam Suravarai Sadayavalokam
Naichan Ripastaduchitam Mahatam Madhudvit
Naichan Ripastaruchitam Mahatam Madhudvit
Sevanurakta Manasam Abhavo Vipalgu
Sevanurakta Manasam Abhavo Vipalgu. Ladies, Vaishnavis.
Yodustyajan Shiti Sutta Swajanartadaran
Yodustyajan Shiti Sutta Swajanartadaran
Pratyam Shriyam Suravarai Sadayavalokam
Pratyam Shriyam Suravarai Sadayavalokam
Naichan Ripastaduchitam Mahatam Madhudvit
Naichan Ripastaruchitam Mahatam Madhudvit
Sevanurakta Manasam Abhavo Vipalgu
Sevanurakta Manasam Abhavo Vipalgu. Anyone else? Okay, synonyms for this verse. Yaha, who? Dustyajan, very difficult to give up. Kshiti, the earth. Sutta, children. Swajana Artadaran, relatives, riches, and a beautiful wife. Pratyam, desirable. Shriyam, the goddess of fortune. Suravarai, like the best of the demigods. Sadaya Avalokam, whose merciful glance. Not. Aischat, desire. Nripaha, the king. Tat Uchitam, this is quite befitting him. Mahatam, of great personalities. Mahatmas. Madhutwit, of Lord Krishna, who killed the demon Madhu. Seva Anurapta, attracted by the loving service. Manasam, of whose minds, Abhava Api, even the position of liberation. Algahu, insignificant. Prabhupada's translation for this verse. Shukadeva Goswami continued, my dear king, the activities of Bharata Maharaj are wonderful. He gave up everything difficult for others to give up. He gave up his kingdom, his wife, and his family. His opulence was so great that even the demigods envied it, yet he gave it up. It was quite befitting a great personality like him to be a great devotee. He could renounce everything because he was so attracted to the beauty, opulence, reputation, knowledge, strength, and renunciation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. Krishna is so attractive that one can give up all desirable things for his sake. Indeed, even liberation is considered insignificant for those whose minds are attracted to the loving service of the Lord. This verse confirms Krishna's all-attractiveness. Mahārāja Bharata was so attracted to Krishna that he gave up all his material possessions. Generally, materialistic people are attracted by such possessions. Ato griha kshetra chatapta viktayam janasya mulyam aham mameti. Srimad Bhagavatam, 5th canto, chapter 5, text 8. One becomes attracted to his body, home, property, children, relatives, and wealth. In this way, one increases life's illusions and thinks in terms of I and mine. The attraction for material things is certainly due to illusion. There is no value in attraction to material things, for the conditioned soul is diverted by them. One's life is successful if he is absorbed in the attraction of Krishna's strength, beauty, and pastimes as described in the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. The Mayavadis are attracted to merging into the existence of the Lord, but Krishna is more attractive than the desire to merge. The word abhavaha means not to take birth again in this material world. A devotee doesn't care whether he's going to be reborn or not. He is simply satisfied with the Lord's service in any condition. That is real mukti. Iha yasya haridasye karmana manasa gira nikila swapyavastasu jivan mukta sa uchate. Which means one who acts to serve Krishna with his body, mind, intelligence, and words is a liberated person, even within this material world. And that's taken from Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 12187. A person who always desires to serve Krishna is interested in ways to convince people that there is a Supreme Personality of Godhead, and that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is Krishna. That is his ambition. It doesn't matter whether he is in heaven or in hell. This is called Uttama Shloka Lalasa. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Tinamine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauramani Pacharane Nirvashesha Srinivani Paschatadesha Charane Om Agyana Timarandasya Agyananjanashana Chakshur Unmulitam Jaina Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhisham Stapitam Jaina Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Savarantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Uttapada Kamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavascha. Shri Rupam Savijatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Taksajivam. Sadvaitam Savadutam Purjana Sasitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam. Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitam Hey Krishna, Karuna Sindhu, Dina Bano Jagapate, Kopesh Rapika Kanta Radha Kanta Namoste, Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi, Radhe Vrindavaneshwari, Vishavanu Sute Devi, Pranamami Hari Devi, Vachakopa Turubhya Shakri Pasi Evacha Patitana Pavanebhyo Vaishnavyo Namo Namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Vedikadana Vasari Gaura Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So please don't mind if I offer you a little correction. It's just my propensity, and also because I've worked in the BBT for so long, and I know Prabhupada didn't form a society for Sanskrit scholars, but he did take the trouble of putting in Sanskrit pronunciation guide in all his books to help us gradually pronounce these words properly. So you're all, in this temple, you're worshipping Shri Pancha Tattva, not Tattva. See, it's two syllables. T-A-T, tat, which you know means that. You see it all the time in so many verses. And twa, the syllable twa, T-W-A, is compared to the English N-E-S-S, which nest, like we say, consciousness, or nest. It's like that. So, tat-twa, there were two syllables. Pancha tat-twa, not tat-ba. Okay? So, not that the Lord will not accept your worship if you call it, say, tattva, tattva. The Lord Chaitanya is very merciful, but still, over time we should gradually try to pronounce these words properly. So every day you're saying pancha tattva, so you should try to say at least that one right, tattva, not tattva. So in this verse, Prabhupada starts out by again, the verse itself is glorifying the king for giving up all his material possessions because of his attraction to Krishna. But specifically it says he's glorious because he gave up his kingdom, his wife, his family, his opulence. But at least some of these things nowadays are very easy for people to do. People very easy, they'll say, what's the big deal? I've given up so many families and so many wives. And so what's the big deal? And that cuts across all socioeconomic strata. It's not just like poor people get divorced, but across all levels of society. People get married, they get divorced, they have children with this wife, then they get another wife, they have more children. And so for them, it's not a big deal. What is the big deal? Giving up a wife and giving up children, it happens all the time. But to give up wealth, that's not so easy. That's not so easy. Prabhupada says even a pauper is proud of his penny. Wealth, because we're living in a cash economy. Previously, everybody had at least some means of livelihood that made them somewhat independent. They had a little piece of land, they could grow enough sabji, enough pulses, grains, so that they could survive without being too dependent. Prabhupada said to be too dependent on another person's mercy is not good. So the Vedic culture was that if one was in difficulty, one could accept meals at a friend's house, but one should never accept residence in another person's house. No matter how difficult things are. Better to sleep under a tree than to live in somebody's house at their mercy. And so, Prabhupada also tells a story of how to get rid of an unwanted guest. If somebody comes to your house for a brief stay, but they're not leaving, they're very comfortable, they're happy, you're feeding them every day, everything's taken care of nicely, they don't feel like leaving. So Prabhupada said, how do you get rid of an unwanted guest? Does anybody remember? Mahārāja Bharata.
Well, first you stop feeding them salt. You gradually cut out the vegetables.
Exactly. First you reduce the salt in the food, so the taste goes away. Because, unsalted food is not very palatable. So you reduce the level of salt, and if they don't take the hint, then you start reducing the food, and Prabhupada said if they don't even respond to that, then you just grab them and throw them out. Because they're incorrigible, they're not going to leave. So Vedic culture, again, it's better not to live at the mercy of others. So if one is put in a position of involuntary poverty, then you can go different places and accept, just like the Goswamis, they were doing Madhukar, you take a little bit here, a little bit there. One can do that, but one should not do it falsely. Prabhupada also states that in India, because the Goswamis set that example that so many people became Goswamis just so they could beg and live that way without working. But that was not the mood of the Goswamis. They were not begging just to live. They were so absorbed, just like we say, Nana Shastra, not we say, the prayer of the 6 Goswamis. Nana Shastra Vacharana Kinipano Sadharma Saksapako Lokanam Hitakarino Chibuvane Manyo Shaniko Radha Krishna Padaravinda Bhajana Mandena Nandaliko Vande Rupa Sanatana Raguru Shri Jiva Gopalako. So we offer respectful obeisances unto the 6 Goswamis. Why? Because they're very expert at scrutinizingly studying all the revealed scriptures with the aim of establishing its eternal religious principles for all human beings. Thus they're honored all over the 3 worlds and they're worth taking shelter of because they're absorbed in the mood of the gopis and engaged in the transcendental loving service of Sri Sri Radha and Krishna. So that was their business. Their business was not begging just to eat, to stay alive that way. This was their real business, studying the Shastra, writing so many books to set the process of Bhakti Yoga, set it down in writing so that there will be no speculation. We should know exactly what to do. The Goswami literature is so complete that even mundane, ordinary activities you would think of what to do. They say when you rise in the morning, you should offer respectful obeisances to your Ishtadev, whatever deity that you're closest to that you're worshiping, to the spiritual master. How many times to, wash the mouth, how many times you should wash when you evacuate. Everything is there. It's a detailed science. So we don't have to speculate. Everything has been written down. And that's how concerned they are for the living entities, so that we know exactly what to do. We don't waste any time in speculating and become misguided. If we are serious about the process of bhakti, the entire outline is there and every detail is filled in. We simply have to follow. But in Kali Yuga especially, it's very difficult to just follow, because everybody wants to follow their own mind. I remember when I joined, my father said, I understand you're attracted to some spiritual path, but why do you need a guru? Just figure it out yourself. In other words, don't become a follower. You should follow your own inclination. But this is Maya's trick. Lifetime after lifetime, she whispers that same thing in our ears. You don't have to follow anybody. Just follow your own inclination. Be your own person. And the end result is that we take birth again and again and again in this material world. Because you will never get out based on just following your own mental proclivities. We have to surrender to Krishna's representative and follow strictly the orders of the spiritual master, and then we will gradually become qualified to go back to home, back to Nada. We cannot do it on our own strength. It's not possible. Not possible. So, the king here is being glorified for renouncing all of these things that are difficult to renounce, at least the money part. Nowadays, like I said, people can give up wife, children, no problem. But to give up wealth, not so easy. Some people are misguided in this regard about money. Like Prabhupada said, in India there's a class of so-called yogis, spiritualists, who they are so renounced they don't even touch money. You try to give them money. Prabhupada said, we're not so foolish. Give me. As much money as you can give. Because the Vaishnavas know what to do with money. How to spend it in Krishna service. You see? This other business of this is Palgu Varag. They don't understand. Prabhupada said, Hari Sambandha Pasana. Mumuksha be Parichaga. Palgu Varag. This is Palgu Varag. When you can use something in Krishna service and you renounce it artificially. That is Palgu Varag. But the other side of the coin is where the devotees reside. Anasakta Savishyan, Yataram Upayajita, Nirbandha Krishna Sambandhe, Yuktam Vairagya Uchate. This is what the devotees do. They understand that everything belongs to Krishna, everything is Krishna's energy, and we can be guided by the spiritual master how to use everything in Krishna's service. So Prabhupada could accept buildings and money and cars and everything that other so-called yogis and spiritualists shy away from. They even shy away from speaking. This is called Mahārāja. Of course, it's better not to speak nonsense. It's better not to speak at all than to speak nonsense. See? That's better. Better be silent than to speak nonsense. But Prabhupada said the Vaishnavas, he said one time, we have not yet begun to speak. And you know Prabhupada never stopped speaking. From morning to night he was speaking. Either recording his books, dictating, or he was telling the devotees what to do, or he was giving classes. So Prabhupada said, we have not yet begun to speak. In other words, there's so much that the Vaishnavas have to share that they could speak 24/7, 365. So this Mahārāja Bharata is meant for those who don't have anything to say. Yes, it's better to be silent than to speak nonsense. But the Vaishnavas, because they are absorbed in the mood of the gopis, they're absorbed in Krishna Katha, then they can speak day and night without stop. This is Vaishnava. So Prabhupada starts his purport by saying this verse confirms Krishna's all attractiveness. So And he ends the purport by saying that the devotees can go anywhere, even to hell. They're not even interested in liberation. So this is Lord Chaitanya's gift to us. There is this verse quoted in the Saraswati. Kaivalyam narakayate chudasapur arkasha pushpayate Dordam tende kala sarpa patalay Dordam dangstrayate Vishvam purna sakayate Vidi mahendradis chakitayate Yatkaruna kataksha vaibhavatam tam goram evastamak. So it says, for one who has received the merciful sidelong glance of Lord Chaitanya, how do we know that somebody has received this mercy of Lord Chaitanya? And these things should be there. Kaivalyam narakayati. The devotees would rather go to hell and serve than to merge into the Lord's existence. For them, that's never acceptable, merging into the Lord's existence. Because it means giving up your individuality, and therefore there can be no service. Service means there's Bhagavan, there's Bhakta, and then the relationship between them is Bhakti, Bhakti Yoga. So three things have to be there. Bhagavan, the recipient of the service, Bhakta, who's giving the service, and the process of service, which is Bhakti Yoga. So the devotees don't want this merging, Kaivalya, that's not acceptable. So Kaivalyam narakayate, akasha pushpa, chudasapur akasha pushpayate. So for them, going to the heavenly planets, which is the goal of the karmis, the serious karmis, not, we say nowadays we call everybody who works karmi, but the real karmi who's one who wants to follow the karma kanda rituals to attain the heavenly planets. So for the devotee, Tridashapur, which means the abode of the demigods, Akasha Pushpayate, is compared to sky flowers. Sky flowers. So sky flowers, two meanings. Akasha Pushpa means, first of all, there's no such thing as kind of phantasmagoria, sky flowers, just an imagination. Or, if you actually take some flowers and throw them up in the sky, do they stay? No, they come right back down again. So this is going to the heavenly planets. You go, you stay for some time, and then you have to come down again. Chini Punya Marjala Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. So, then Duram Tendere Kala Sarpapatale, Brokata Dangsrayate. That for the ordinary spiritualists, these senses are big enemies, and therefore they have to go to the Himalayas, live in a cave somewhere to be far away from being attracted, so they're not attracted to the objects of the senses, opposite sex or money or anything like that, so they go away. But for the devotees, they can stay in the cities and preach, because for them, the senses have become like snakes that don't have any fangs. If you know that the poison snake, the fangs have been taken out, then you're not afraid. So the devotees are not afraid of the senses, although we know how powerful they are. But because the devotee is engaging his senses in the service of the Lord, then he's not afraid of the senses. So he can preach anywhere. Again, cities, villages, anywhere. Because not afraid. And then Vishvam Purna Sakayate. The entire universe seems like a place of happiness. How so? It seems that the Vaishnavas are always saying how this world is full of misery. How is it possible then that Vishvam Purna Sakayate? Yes, Krishna says, Dukali Amashashvatam, the place is temporary, and it's full of miseries, but for one who's serving him with love and devotion, Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita that this process is joyfully performed, right? Right? So if we're actually performing Bhakti Yoga as prescribed by the 6 Goswamis, if we follow everything nicely, then we should feel susukam, we should be happy all the time. Prabhupada said once, if you're practicing devotional service but you're morose, something is wrong and you should find out and do something about it. Because the devotees should not be morose, they should be happy. Should be happy. We have the best process, prasadam, we have everything nice that's been given to us by the mercy of the Lord, and we should be happy under all circumstances. Again, like we were discussing previously, even if you're arrested and thrown in jail, Prabhupada said, why be morose? Just chant Hare Krishna. You go out to chant Hare Krishna, if they put you in jail, just keep chanting Hare Krishna. And the devotees did that, and sure enough, you know, the authorities that were opposed, they just eventually gave up and allowed the devotees to chant. Of course, it took a few court cases also, but eventually they gave up and just allowed the devotees to chant in the streets unimpeded. So, Vishvam Purna Sakayate, Vidhi Mahendradi Sakitayate. And Vidhi, who is Vidhi?
Lord Brahma.
Lord Brahma. And Mahendra,
Shiva.
Lord Shiva. So Vini Mahendra Arischa Kitayate. Kita means insects. So it's not that the devotees are comparing Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva to insects. No. It's that they don't aspire for those positions. For them to become Lord Brahma or even to become Lord Shiva is not important. They're not aspiring for such things. It's just as for them as like aspiring to become an insect, because the pleasure that they're receiving by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya and by engaging in Bhakti Yoga is so high that they're not aspiring for anybody else's position. So we can test ourselves by these different indicators. Have we received the mercy of Lord Chaitanya? If we have, then we should not be aspiring to merge into the Lord's existence. We should not be aspiring to go to the heavenly planets. We should be unafraid of the senses because we're engaging them constantly in Krishna's service. And we should be happy all the time, regardless of what's going on in the world. Every day there are so many problems, people are doing crazy things, but the devotees are still encouraged to go out and preach because they're feeling transcendental pleasure by doing so. And we're not aspiring even to become Lord Brahma. Of course, one cannot become Lord Shiva. There's Shiva Tattva. It's one of the expansions of the Lord. Vishnu Tattva, Jiva Tattva, and Shiva Tattva. So you can't become Lord Shiva, but you could become Lord Brahma if one is pious enough. But devotees are not trying for that. So yes. Yeah, so Prabhupada also recites this verse, or includes this verse in his purport, that if one is engaging one's body, mind, words in Krishna service, then one is already liberated. But that means fully, not sometimes yes, sometimes no, when I feel like it, I don't feel like it today, so no, when we fully and completely engage body, mind, and words in Krishna service, then we are considered liberated even though we're still in this material body. Because ultimately we have nothing to do with this body. Prabhupada said it's compared to a coconut. When the coconut is young, the flesh inside is firmly attached to the outer husk. So difficult to separate them. But when the coconut becomes mature, the fleshy part inside naturally detaches from the outer husk shell. One can actually hear it rattling. So for the devotee, it's like that. When we are fully engaged in Krishna service, we become naturally detached from this body. Prabhupada also once said that for a pure devotee, sometimes he's not aware of whether he has a material body or not. In other words, still in this material realm. But he compared it to just like a drunk. A drunk person becomes so intoxicated they're not even sure they're wearing clothes or not wearing clothes. They're completely unaware of that. So for the pure devotee, when we get to that stage of pure devotion, the body's there, we may still have a material body, but not at all affected by it. And Prabhupada showed that so many times. Like one time, one of his teeth became loose and he just like took it out. Most of us, if the tooth just gets a little pain, and we want to run to the dentist. As a matter of fact, that's how you can identify these false avatars. They come usually from India, and they come to the West and they promote themselves as being avatars of Vishnu or whatever. And then they get a toothache and they have to run to a dentist. So Prabhupada said, what kind of avatar is that? You get a toothache, you have to run to a dentist. So, but Prabhupada demonstrated how detached he was from that body, his body, because of course we still consider the body of the pure devotee to be spiritual, because it's completely engaged in Krishna service. But we're not thinking that this is what Prabhupada looks like eternally. No. He has this eternal spiritual body, serving Krishna. And so while he was in this material world, he was not affected by tooth problems. And actually, Prabhupada could anticipate when problems were happening. There was this incident in Mauritius where they were driving Prabhupada somewhere, and Prabhupada was in the back seat. And all of a sudden, Prabhupada just planted his cane and stiffened himself. And sure enough, the very next moment, boom, there was a car accident. They got hit. So Prabhupada knew what was coming. He just like braced himself and was ready. So he was detached. He didn't scream out, what's going to happen? Just like. So we can't imitate the pure devotee, but the point is that as we mature in devotional service, we'll be less and less affected by the ups and downs, the inevitable ups and downs of the material body. And Because and it's not artificial. The pure devotee is saturated with ananda, with the bliss of devotional service. And the ups and downs of the material body literally do not affect them. And Prabhupada showed that, of course, in his final days. His body was so emaciated, practically no flesh left, the nerves were touching the skin, and the doctor said any ordinary person would be screaming in pain in such a condition. But what was Prabhupada doing? Still translating Srimad Bhagavatam up to the very end. So, this is to prepare us that, yes, no matter how well we do our yoga and how well we eat nice raw food or whatever, the body is going to be taken away at some point in time. So we have to be ready. We have to be ready. Ready means we have to gradually elevate our consciousness back to its normal state of Krishna consciousness, 100% Krishna consciousness. We're not affected by the ups and downs of the material energy. We see the material energy for what she is, a servant of Krishna. I'm not at all attached or involved with the material energy. As spirit soul, Jivatma, we're actually not at all involved with this material energy. It just appears to be that way. Prabhupada says it's like a dream. While dreaming, there are so many problems. A tiger is coming and you may even wake up sweating. But once you're awake and you realize it was a dream, then you calm down and everything is normal. So material life and spiritual life are like that. When the jiva is in the material realm, we're attached to our bodies and we see everything favorable, unfavorable, all in terms of the body. But when we are again elevated in consciousness back to the spiritual platform, then we're not affected by whatever the body is going through. Ups and downs, and inevitable final moment of the body is not a problem for the spirit soul. So Bharata Maharaj, he detached himself voluntarily from wife, children, home, wealth, everything. Because of his being attracted to Krishna. It was not artificial, as Prabhupada is pointing out. Because Krishna's whole attracted, Bharata Maharaj was attracted by Krishna's whole attractiveness, and therefore he was able to walk away from such a favorable material situation. So we can stop here. Any questions, comments? Okay, Grantarashya Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, or Bhakta Vrinda ki jai.
Grace Bhakta Prabhu.